Well, hello, everyone. My name is John Brenneman. I'm the president here at MOAA Vacations. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It is going to be a very fun webinar. We are actually joined by both Tim and Kelly from Atlas. Hello to both of you. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have a lot to get through. First thing I always like to talk about is MOAA Vacations. There are a number of you who've never attended one of our webinars before. So I always like to start out and just let everybody know about MOAA Vacations and kind of what makes us unique amongst travel agencies. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to talk about MOAA Vacations. I'm going to talk about signature groups, which is what the main topic that we're going to talk about today. And then I'm going to go through a couple of housekeeping things, I guess I would say, on how you actually reserve your spot on these cruises. Before we get started, we are recording this webinar. So later this evening, you'll receive an email, which will have a link to this webinar so you can rewatch it. Always a little kind of hint I tell people at any time during this presentation, myself, Tim, or Kelly says something that you find of interest. Since we started right at the top of the hour, just make a note at what time it is. And then instead of having to watch the entire video, let's say they are talking about everything that's included on an Atlas cruise, and you want to revisit that when Tim and Kelly are talking about that, you just kind of look at your clock or your watch or whatever, your phone, I guess, for most of us, and see that we're 35 minutes in, so you can just fast forward to that part. Everything we do at MOAA Vacations is for MOAA members and their guests, friends, family, whether they're military service or not. So if you have friends or family that would enhance your vacation experience, if you'd have more fun if they joined us on even just a trip you pick out on your own or on one of these signature groups, are absolutely invited. Feel free to share this webinar with them. In the email that has a link to the webinar, we'll also have a link to all of the websites for the 3 cruises we're going to talk about. We are focusing on the 2026 MOAA Signature Group, but we're going to kind of give you a teaser for the 2 2027 signature groups as well. So feel free to invite friends and family along. Okay, MOAA Vacations. Our reputation in the industry is providing a superior, what we call a concierge level of service. And this alone could practically be an entire webinar, but I always try to just sum it up as quickly as possible. And the way we do that is we mention the fact that we provide travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. And that means exactly what it sounds like. If you have any issue, problem, or concern, either before or during your trip, you reach out to us. Almost in every case, you'll talk directly to me, and we will resolve it to your satisfaction, typically within 48 hours. And the way we're able to do that is our relationships with our vendors, like Tim and Kelly. So if you have an issue, I reach out to them, and together we actually resolve that for you. Pricing, of course, is important. We always guarantee the lowest price. In fact, we have a free amenity program that we have with a number of our preferred vendors. Atlas is one of those. So any Atlas cruise you book, any departure date, any itinerary, and recognition of your past and continued service, Atlas will give you a $100 per person shipboard credit. So in addition to the guaranteed lowest price, there's an actual added on MOAA amenity. And it's important to note that I said before, you're invited, you're welcome to invite friends and family. Your friends and family who travel with you through MOAA Vacation receive all of the same amenities you do. So even if your neighbors or your siblings who go with you are not MOAA members, have not served in the military, they also receive that guaranteed lowest price, the satisfaction guarantee, and that $100 per person onboard credit. It is amenity that is provided to MOAA members and their MOAA guests. So anyway, and the last thing is group opportunities. There are a lot of benefits for booking groups. The primary thing always is the camaraderie of traveling with your fellow MOAA members and discounts. So if you go with a group through us, you're going to get a price that is actually below the guaranteed lowest price. So, but we're talking today about signature groups, and they are somewhat unique. I kind of describe this sometimes as a group that is on steroids because it has all the benefits of going with a group, you know, that camaraderie, the additional savings, and those types of things. But there are several very important additional amenities. The first thing is they're escorted by MOAA leadership and staff. And this is such an opportunity that most members don't ever have. And that is to sit down and talk with, have a drink with, have dinner or lunch with, go on an excursion with MOAA leadership. It's your opportunity to talk to them about what they are doing for military personnel, what the future of the association is, your opportunity to give your input, to literally sit there with the vice presidents or the president, you know, of MOAA and talk to them one-on-one. They are always escorted by someone from MOAA Vacations. I escort most of them. And what that means is I escorted, and we'll talk about this more in a second, but I escorted the signature group on Atlas Ocean Voyages to the Greek Isles in August of this year. And basically the cruise line gives me a desk. So there's a place called Paula Pantry. It's like a Starbucks at sea. So most people are there every day. It's on your way into the dining room. And they have 3 desks there. It's the tour director, the cruise director, and then I have a desk there. And at breakfast, lunch, and before dinner every evening, I'm there. And I'm there for one reason, and that's to make sure you have as much fun as possible. So I'm there, kind of that satisfaction guarantee, actually on the cruise ship. So while you're cruising, if there's an issue, just come up and let me know. If you talk to anybody who's been on a signature group before, it's one of the things that really makes people the most comfortable when you're on a cruise, of knowing that both MOAA leadership and myself or someone else from MOAA Vacations is there to make sure everything goes smoothly. We always do exclusive onboard events and excursions. For Atlas last year, we did like a welcome reception, a farewell reception. We had a special dining experience, which is difficult to kind of explain, but we'll just say it was almost like a tapas experience, where it was like a 10-course tasting dinner. And then we also did 2 themed parties. One was a 70s disco party where everybody dressed up, and then we also did a dressed in white party. And I can tell you that the overwhelming majority of people participated in those. I'll include a little video clip when I send the email tonight with the link to this webinar to view it again. I think it's only about 1:40, but it's just some video I personally shot real quickly while we were in the Dome Lounge, which is where we had our themed parties. An opportunity for you to kind of see how much fun was everybody having. Talk about onboard events. There was a lot of other stuff that we had. We had a cooking contest. We had cooking demonstrations and those types of things. Basically making sure that there's always something to do. Of course, the ship, which is just phenomenal. They have 3 ships. They're all basically the same, but 92 staterooms. It's a perfect size for the type of group we're doing, because in 7, 10, 11 days, you feel like you met everyone. We one time years ago did a MOAA Signature Group on a much larger ship, and it didn't have the same thing. We really kind of want that family feel. I already mentioned friends and family are invited. And the last thing is the signature groups are rare opportunities. We're only doing 2 signature groups in 2026. We have a river cruise, which is basically sold out. I think there's like 6 or 7 cabins left. And then the group we're talking about, which is this Western Europe cruise, Dublin-to-Porto, where the ship is about 2/3 full. So we have only about 30 cabins remaining. And that's what we want to focus on today, is this Western Europe cruise. Now, I'm just going to touch on real quick a couple of things kind of on the how you book kind of side and availability and those types of things. And then I'm going to turn it over to Tim and Kelly, and they're going to go into detail for those of you who are not familiar with Atlas Ocean Voyages about the phenomenal product that they provide. And then they're going to go through a day-by-day kind of overview of the itinerary on this cruise. And then we're going to open it up to question and answers. Now, at the bottom of your screen, you should see like a little conversational bubble that has a question mark in it that says Q&A. At any point, just go ahead and type your questions in there. I'll be kind of answering those during Tim and Kelly's presentation, but at the end, we will answer all of the questions in the Q&A. If by chance you don't see that Q&A kind of little bubble, if you're on your phone or a tablet, use your finger and kind of go to the bottom or your cursor. You'll see a little circle with 3 dots in it that says more. If you click on that, you'll see all of the icons at the bottom of the screen, and then you just click on that Q&A, which is where you can answer, or you can ask your questions, and then we will answer them at the end. One thing is, I mentioned on all of these signature groups, we have websites, and I think the websites have 6 or 7 pages, and everything we talk about today will be on that website. So tonight you're going to get a link to that the websites, and you're going to get a copy of this webinar. The websites will show the pricing based on all the different cabin categories. So, all right, sorry, Tim. This slide at the top, the picture at the top is the reason why I kind of threw this in. That is actually our group on the Atlas Signature Group to the Greek Isles in August of this year. That is our entire group at the front of our yacht. So as you can see, 180 people is not a lot of people. Much larger than that, we wouldn't have all been able to fit in the picture. But anyway, below that's a couple of other pictures I took. One is of a cooking demonstration we did. The middle one is the live entertainment that they have on board. If you've never cruised on this size of ship before, to me, it has all of the perks or all of the things people like about going on river cruises, which is they're small, they're easy to get around. At no point on the ship do you ever feel like you're far away from anything on board. But it has a lot of the amenities or venues that people are used to on the bigger ships. There is a theater. They do have 2 different lounges. So if we have a disco party going off in the Dome Lounge, and that's not really your thing, you can go down to the other lounge and relax there and have cocktails as well. They're going to talk, everything basically is included when you're on board the ship. They're going to talk about that more. And it does have a great pool area. And so even though it's a 92 cabin, 180 people ship that has all of these venues, your days and nights will be as empty or as full as you want them to be. Okay, so here's the deck plan of the ship. There's only 3 decks shown here. These are the decks that have staterooms on them. And as you can see, 2/3 of the staterooms are marked as sold. And we kind of do this since we have the entire ship. If I didn't say that at the beginning, I apologize. I meant to. One of the other things that makes the signature groups unique is we hold the entire ship. So everyone on the ship will be a MOAA member or the guest of a MOAA member. It adds so much. The signature groups are the most popular thing we do. And you know what we've learned over the years, we started doing signature groups in 2019, is it's more than just the camaraderie. It's the respect and consideration that MOAA members have for their fellow members. You can actually feel it on board. It is such a communal experience. So this is the ship. You can see about 2/3 of them are sold out. In just a second, I'm going to talk about how we do the booking on this. So we had, it looks like we've only got, can't read, 40, 50 people on board this webinar, which is more people than the cabins we still have remaining. But we had 185 people register this webinar. So tonight, we're going to send this webinar to all 180 people, the 40 that are on now, and then the 145 who didn't log in because obviously they thought it would be more convenient to watch on their own. So how do we decide? We have 1 suite left. If you look at deck 6 at the bottom, you know, there's 2 types of balconies on this ship. And I know they're going to talk more about this, but they have what they call a private balcony, which is what most people are used to, where you step out on your balcony. So on deck 6, those are the purple ones. So you can see 621. We only have 1 step out balcony on deck 6. And then if you look at the rear of the ship, these are what they call Juliet balconies. Cruise lines often call them French balconies. And that's where you have floor to ceiling windows and the top half of the window comes down. And basically you can lean on the railing for it. And it's like your entire stateroom becomes your balcony. And it's kind of a preference thing. It's great that you have a choice. Some people like walking out, sitting on their balcony, relaxing. If you look at the staterooms in the back, they're actually larger because the square footage that would go to that step out balcony is actually more room in your stateroom. So anyway, if you look at the back of the ship, we only have 3 of the Juliet balconies available on deck 6. And then you look at the most of the cabins we have remaining are deck 5. You can see that. And then on deck 3, if you can see those numbers, they're all numbered, but deck 3, which is at the top, so deck 4 is a public area, so you don't see that. So we got 3, 5, and 6 on this image. Is there's only 2 staterooms left on deck 3, and these are what they call adventure staterooms. They have panoramic windows, so they're the only staterooms on the ship that do not have either a Juliet balcony or a French balcony. As a result, they're the most economical. Okay, so we've got 40 plus people on this webinar, and we've already said we only have 1 suite available. We only have, 1 deck 6 private balcony, only 3 of the Juliet balconies. We only have 2 of the panoramic windows. So what we do is, Tim, if you go to the next slide, this is the website. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in the Q&A as soon as I get done. This is my last slide, so don't worry. We are going to listen to the people from Atlas at great length. But if you see in that upper left-hand corner where it says book now, we ask everyone to fill out one of these as soon as you decide you want to go on this cruise. That allows us to date and timestamp the requests. So as soon as this webinar is over, Mike will start contacting people. And if you are the first to sign up, you get the first choice. So let's say you want an adventure stateroom. There's 2 available. So Mike will contact you and say, these are the 2 numbers that are available. Which one do you want? Second person who comes in, third person comes in, and those types of things in an effort to be as fair as possible, right? We set a sequence of who gets to select the cabin. So not saying you need to do it right now, but once you decide that you want to go on this cruise, please fill out the book now. And then we will reach out to you. You can hold the cabin for 48 hours and we'll go through and get everyone the cabin that they want. And as I mentioned, there's not trying to do this, you need to book right now, but you saw the deck plan. So, if you want deck 5, there's not really the rush on it. But at the same time, you get a pick from what's available based upon that. So, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to this website. A lot of you have already been on it. But once you decide you're going to go, once Tim or Kelly say that last thing that they say, that you go, absolutely, I want to do this, fill out the book now. Mike will contact you. We'd love to have you join us. We have every confidence that this ship is going to completely sell out. It's 2/3 full, and the cruise is still, 11 months off. It's in October of next year. So yep. In the coming months, we'll absolutely fill this ship. We'd love to have you on it. One last thing I'm going to say is when we do these signature groups, we literally can pick any cruise line we want. So hopefully in your head, you have the question is, why did MOAA Leadership and why did MOAA Vacations select Atlas? And I can tell you that part of this process is Mike Tyrell, who's our vice president here. If you guys haven't heard his name before, went on Atlas, absolutely loved the product. So I went on the product and sailed on them. And the same kind of thing. It is perfect for signature groups. It has enough space so we can do all of our private functions. And yet it has enough space that if you don't want to do those private functions, there's plenty of room for you to go to and do whatever you'd like, relax, read a book, get together with other friends, play cards, all those types of things. I am absolutely confident if you go on this cruise, you're going to absolutely enjoy it. One last thing I want to mention is the kind of companies we look to partner with are the companies that have our commitment to make sure that that MOAA members have the best possible experience. So we had 180 people on Atlas in August. And Atlas normally goes, and I think having seen their slides, they have one of them when they talk about what's included, it says 1 megabyte of Wi-Fi. And so for our group, Atlas was kind enough to give everybody in the group 2 megabytes of Wi-Fi. That's per person, that's not per stateroom. The only complaints we really had on the sailing were people burn through their Wi-Fi very quickly. And then once you go through, your 2 megabytes of Wi-Fi, then it's an add-on additional expense. So we went, after we had the cruise, we talked to Atlas, and Atlas is now giving us premium unlimited Wi-Fi for everyone. So if you 2 of you in your cabin, both of you get it on all 3 of these signature groups. The price of that is dependent upon the length of the cruise. So if you literally look at this cruise and the 2 for 27, you'll see that they have different pricing, like it's a $242 value. I just think it's a huge plus, and I think it speaks to the type of partnership that we have with them. That we do a cruise, and it's like we had some client complaints about people who are on their phone shooting videos, doing whatever else, watching videos, I guess, but not shooting videos or whatever. To the extent they use the Wi-Fi, and people were like, well, that was a one downside, and they immediately came back to us and said, for your future MOAA signature groups, we'll give everybody premium unlimited Wi-Fi. Those are the type of companies we want to partner with. It's a friendly, fun crew. It's a phenomenal ship. The layout, it's the hardware and software are great. And then we have leadership like Kelly, who is there to make sure that if there are ever any issues, we get them resolved. So I don't know if I've ever publicly thanked Kelly before for that. So anyway, I've talked longer than I was supposed to. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim and Kelly, and they're going to talk to you about Atlas. And then once again, we're going to go through a detailed day by day of the 26 cruise. I see some questions have come in already. So I'm going to turn off my camera and my mic and kind of start going through those questions, and I'll be back at the end for the Q&A. Tim and Kelly, take it away.
Sure. So hi, everyone. I am Kelly Popovsky. I work on the Atlas Ocean Voyages team here. I actually lead our sales team. It's really an honor to speak with such a dedicated community. We are so thrilled to have all of you on. We're really looking forward to sharing some insights about our cruise line and answering your questions, of course. I actually just returned from my very first Atlas experience. I've been with the company for just over 6 months. I actually did wait to do my FAM so I could go to Antarctica. So I opened up the whole season. And it was just such a thrilling experience. It was so beautiful. But more so than just the destination, because of course Antarctica is great. But the ship, the crew, it was just, everyone is so friendly. Everyone is so fun. It's a really, really casual experience, which is great. I just had the best time. The food was fantastic. But yeah, it's just that feeling of being on that small kind of intimate yacht that just, it makes it all the better. And we had a full ship, and it never felt really full. It never felt crowded, but it never felt alone and lonely. So it was just fantastic. But I know that you guys are going to have the best experience. And like John said, we only have about 30 or so, 35 cabins left. So we want you guys to make sure to book. It's really important that you're there because it is such an incredible experience. I'm actually going to let Tim take the lead on this because this is definitely his spiel, but I wanted to say hi and say thank you so much for all being here. And actually, I did want to mention to John, or John knows this, but to you guys, that we actually don't share our guest satisfaction scores with anyone. John's such an important partner of ours that we did share them. And so he saw across the board all of the guests that were on the last MOAA cruise. They had the best time, and we hit it out of the park. Every single thing was just the best. The Wi-Fi was where we saw definitely some opportunities. So we threw that in, and I think that it's going to make it better than ever. So Tim, I'll hand it over.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm really nervous. That's my boss. No, I'm kidding. So a couple things before I start into why Atlas, a couple things. I just want to do a shout out to John. I've been dealing with John for 32 long years. No, I love John. We've been working together for a long, long time, and just like Kelly mentioned about the Wi-Fi. I don't do that for anybody. We don't do that for many people at all. But John, over the years, has proven himself with MOAA, and he's a tough negotiator and a great guy. And the one thing he didn't mention when he was recently on the last cruise in August, I think he left the cabin. I don't know if he's still on, but I don't think he left the ship, the yacht. I'm sorry, but one time, and that was because he had to go get white pants or something for an all-white party. That's the only reason, and I bring that up because John is there to make sure that you all are taken care of. Obviously, from Atlas perspective, we take care of you all the time. But if there's anything that comes up, John is sitting in that chair, and he is on board, and he is there to help. So, uh, total kudos to John. He's pretty awesome. So why Atlas? I've been with Atlas 2.5 years. I've been in the cruise business for 31, 32 years. I know I started when I was 40, or when I was, yeah, no, when that's so 40, yeah, okay, well, whatever. So my yachts are absolutely gorgeous, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but we are truly intimate yachting expeditions. And I don't want people to get caught up in just in the phrase expedition, because when people think expeditions, they think about Antarctica, which Kelly just got off of. An amazing experience. I did that 2 years ago. Unbelievable. But we do have year-round expeditions, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But I really want to talk also about our pillars of distinction. We're very, very destination focused. These are intimate and elegant yachts, and the service is unbelievable. But really, the fact that we're so destination focused, the reason we are is because my vessels are only, 10,000 gross registered tons, and they have the ability to traverse through the waters, quite honestly, that the bigger vessels cannot um, traverse through. And then we're going to talk a little bit about always included by Atlas, and then what our position is in the marketplace. But when you think about expedition, you think about a journey undertaken by a group of people with a particular purpose, especially that of exploration and discovery. And this applies to no matter what itinerary we have. It could be in Antarctica, it could be in the Arctic, it could be in Northern Europe, it could be in the Mediterranean. It's truly an expedition. That's what we deliver for our guests. So just to kind of give you, because I know John, there's John has several MOAA members that actually call him, if they go on it on one of our signature cruises, or if they want to go individually, two couples. I just kind of want to give you a perspective of what we do at Atlas Ocean Voyages. We do polar expeditions, which are pretty much primarily the Arctic, Antarctica, Greenland, Patagonia, and the Falklands. And then we do Epicurean expeditions. And this is where we, I think, raise the bar, especially for an expedition cruise line. We have an incredible Epicurean expedition in the Mediterranean. I've done two of them personally. Fantastic. We bring on chefs. It's really focused on food and wine, and to be able to traverse through the Med on these little tiny yachts, incredible. My wife and I recently, about a year and a half ago, we sailed out of Venice to Athens. And for those of you that don't know, Venice has all these restrictions about bigger vessels. And we literally walked off off the yacht, and within 12 minutes we were in St. Mark's Square. So there's something to be said about that. So it's pretty awesome. And then we have our cultural expeditions, which is Iceland, Northern Europe, the Caribbean, South America, and transoceanic. So you kind of get an idea as to where we go. The one question I get a lot from guests is, will we ever sail in Alaska, or in North America? And quite honestly, just to be totally transparent, I don't think that's ever going to happen. So when you think of this is a yacht experience. It's the action, sport, or recreation of sailing on a relatively small leisure vessel, often associated with luxury. We are luxury, but I also want to say that we are casual. I want to say casual luxury. It's just an incredible, incredible experience. But I do want to talk about our yachts. We currently have 3 yachts in our fleet. We have the World Navigator, which was our first vessel that came out, and then the World Traveler, and then the World Voyager was our last vessel that we just introduced, which I sailed on her maiden voyage in Antarctica about a year and a half ago. The beautiful thing about my fleet is the fact that all of the vessels are identical, the same hardware. So I can guarantee you, if there's anybody on the call that was on our cruise in August, you sailed on, I think it was the Traveler. You know what? When you go on the Navigator, you know exactly what cabin you want, or the Voyager. The only thing that changes, quite honestly, on these yachts is the decor. That's it. But once you sail on one of our vessels, you know all of our vessels. And the beautiful thing about these is that They're small, they're intimate, and I think Kelly talked a little bit about that. But just it's just a great experience, and I love the fact that I could sit, that I talk to guests when they come on board. Um, and quite honestly, I love to hear if we're in the Med and they're at the pool, or just sitting around dinner or having a cocktail up in the Dome Lounge or the Atlas Lounge. It's just so great to hear our guests talk to each other, and the relationships that are formed on board, because again, we have less than 200 guests, and is really amazing. And I love to hear them talk about, we feel like we're on our own little yacht, our personal yacht. So it's very intimate. It's a very intimate, and for an expedition company, for a small yacht like we have, it's very, very intimate. These little nooks and crannies that we have outdoors. And quite honestly, I got to be honest with you, when I sailed in Antarctica, I sat on that couch right there and had a cup of coffee, and it was awesome. The sun was shining. Yes, it was a little chilly, but it was awesome. So these are really intimate, intimate vessels. So our pillars of distinction, again, intimate yachts, personalized service. I do want to talk about our service, and I have a slide that I want to go through real quickly. But first of all, as far as destination focus, it's an immersive cultural experience. Commitment to sustainability. I've got a slide that'll just show you that. We do more overnight and extended stays in ports for an in-depth experience. That is huge when you think about it. That is huge. You're going to see some of, like, the cruises that John and MOAA picked out for 2027. You see there's a lot of late night stays. We do a lot of overnight. So our philosophy is, we get in as early as we can, and then let you enjoy the port. And we have a lot of late night stays, so that's pretty cool. We have small group shore excursions for every activity. We don't do the big motor coaches. And plus, we also do pre and post expedition hotel and land programs. But if you look at this picture, again, I do have quite a few that focus on Antarctica. I mean, we're there 5.5 months out of the year. But can you imagine doing this in Antarctica? Just it's pretty awesome. So we have what we call immersive experiences, and that's what we would do. You could do, again, if you're in Antarctica, you're doing a Terra Fuego National Park, or maybe if you're in on the Med and you're doing an Epicurean expedition, you're doing an evening vineyard tour, wine, or something like that, or a choir performance in a church, not a gym, in a church. So this is what we do, and this is immersive. So these would be included in your fare when you sail on Atlas Ocean Voyages. The expedition experiences. I love this photo because it kind of obviously it takes in Antarctica, but again, access to remote locales, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but there's a couple of things I want to point out. And on the bottom left-hand corner is Water's Edge. Water's Edge is on deck 5 all the way forward. Stunning, stunning views. You're only 30 feet off the water, and I got to tell you, when I've sailed in the Med. It's a great view just to sit around. If you're going to have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or whatever, you sit there. But when you're in Antarctica, there's actually a bench that surrounds the whole bow of the vessel, and you can sit there and it's heated. It's really, really cool. But then if you look up in the right-hand corner, you see where our vessel is actually docked. I mean, so close to land, so our guests can enjoy a landing for the day. And then on the bottom right-hand corner, my wife and I just recently went from Stockholm to Edinburgh to Trondheim, Norway, as a 12-night cruise. Absolutely beautiful. Going through the fjords, we were the only vessel in the fjords. It was so stunning. So again, these are all opportunities, obviously, you can have with John and Mike and his team too. So again, brief overview: Antarctica, the Arctic, that's our polar expeditions. Epicurean expeditions primarily focus on the Med, and then, of course, Northern Europe, Iceland, South America, and the Caribbean. So we do have a commitment, obviously, to sustainability. These are state-of-the-art polar class vessels. So smooth, so smooth. They're really absolutely amazing. Um, and again, I don't need to go through the whole thing, but we do have a strict adherence to the IAATO and the AECO protocols. So this is very, very important to us as a company, and obviously, this is a main focus for us. So, briefly, I just want to talk about these intimate and beautiful ships. I say ships, but they're yachts also. The picture on the left-hand side, that's the Dome Lounge. The Dome Lounge is on deck 7. We actually have two lounges, two main lounges on board our vessels. We have the Dome Lounge, which is up on the top left corner, and then we have the Atlas Lounge, which is really intimate, nice. It's on deck 4. It sits right outside the reception area. It's right down from the dining room. This is pretty busy, especially before dinner. But the first point of contact that you'll have with our staff is once you get on board, you'll go directly to the Atlas Lounge and you'll be met by one of our staff members, and they will walk through the itinerary, they'll walk through the vessel itself, and then they'll walk you up to your stateroom and you'll be able to start your adventure. I have obviously John talked about our adventure cabins. They're 183 square feet. We all the way up to 465 square feet. And we have 10 suites on board. They typically are the first to go. And so keep that in mind if you're looking at this for 2026. On the left-hand corner, that's kind of what John alluded to this a little bit on his chat. We have 98% of our 98%, I think it is, of our staterooms have either a veranda or what John alluded to. I think this is what we call our Juliet balcony. We have, I think, 24 of these Juliet balconies. So what happens is you lose the balcony, but you gain 56 square feet more in your cabin. So you get a little bit more space. But I got to be honest with you, I've sailed several times on my vessels, and the balcony cabins are more than enough room. But these are kind of cool because if you want to, especially if you're in a colder destination, you just have by the flick of a little switch by your bed, and the bed and the window goes down halfway. So, but the bathrooms are incredible. My wife thinks I'm crazy. I'm a freak about bathrooms, and our bathrooms are absolutely beautiful. And again, I've been in this for 32 years, and I've seen some absolutely beautiful vessels with gorgeous bathrooms. Ours are, for a vessel of this size, they blow it out of the water. Absolutely. They're marble baths. They have the walk-in glass shower. They have the rain head, the body jets, and all of that. Very, very spacious. And again, we do have a main restaurant and a cozy cafe, which John alluded to, and that is Paula's Pantry. Paula's Pantry is on deck 4. It's right in the main area, the reception area. It is, again, as John said, it's Starbucks on steroids. If you get up early in the morning, like I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. They're usually open between 6:30 and 6:30 at 6:30 in the morning, 6:30 at night. And typically they're there earlier. I get a cup of coffee and I go back on the aft part of the vessel and just have my coffee. But they have all these fresh baked goods. If you just do an excursion and you come back and you want, a Danish, or if you want, they have pastries or whatever, and sandwiches too, you can go to Paula's Pantry. So I just kind of wanted to give you an overview of the yachts themselves. This is my favorite slide because this is what.
I wanted to quickly
Oh, sure, go ahead.
couple of things that you had said. The Juliet. So I just stayed in the veranda. I wish I had stayed in the Juliet. I actually think I met a few people on board and I got to see it because I wanted to. So they let me into their stateroom. I got to see it. And actually it was so spacious and so nice. And it felt like just a much bigger space to be in. So I actually wish I had stayed in that one. And then I also just wanted, Paula's Pantry is awesome. I was thrilled. I think the coffee was great. They're very quick. The sandwiches were awesome. I just absolutely loved every bit of it. So sometimes missed breakfast because I do like to sleep in. But I would head over there and get all my stuff. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm going to
Thank
jump
God,
in.
because I think you get up at like 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning, don't you? I don't know. Whatever.
No, I was going to jump in as well. I've sailed in both. One of the things just to keep in mind, it's a small little yacht, and so it's not like these mega cruise ships where if you want to be out on a balcony, you have to have one in your room where you can go out and sit on it because the pool deck is 20 miles away or whatever when you go on these ships with 5,000 staterooms or whatever. Um, I liked having the more room. And if I wanted to go outside, it was like 1, 2 decks up. You could go out. There's front of the ship, back of the ship.
Totally.
Yeah, it's so easy to get to. And then Paula's Pantry, my God, they have donuts and rolls,
Yeah.
and sandwiches, and power beverages, and every kind of coffee or tea you can imagine. It's just I love having my little desk there
Yeah.
because everybody comes by at some point or another. It's like a little informal meeting area. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and
but as I said,
deck four is just great. To me, that
Right.
was so convenient. It's like you just go, you take a few steps down, and I think I used the elevator one time, and I was just up and down the stairs because it's only a couple. It was like 2 flights, one way or the other. And so having deck four, everything's on there, and it's just the most convenient. It really does. It's a yacht. That's what it
yeah,
Yep.
is.
you
Yep.
always keep that in mind. But as I said, I mean, the great thing about the ship is they have both Juliet balconies and step out balconies. So you can pick whichever you prefer. So there you go.
Yep.
I wanted to jump into.
That's great. Thank you. Our service. This is, again, my favorite slide. Our service, and again, having been in this business for so long, everybody talks about their staff. I got to tell you, I can offer the most beautiful yachts. I can offer great itineraries. I can have a great culinary program. At the end of the day, it's all about the service. It's basically a 1-to-1 guest to staff ratio. These folks are amazing, absolutely amazing. And it's so, I love to hear our guests talk about, oh my God, we checked in and we sat in the Atlas Lounge and we had a glass of champagne. They took us up, and 5 hours later, they were calling us by our name. And I do want to share one really, really quick story. So when I went on the World Voyager in Antarctica, I took my brother-in-law. And typically, right before dinner, we'd go up to the Dome Lounge, and he'd have his Manhattan, and I'd have a beer or a glass of wine or whatever. And so every night. So fast forward 9 months later. So my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they go back, they go on the same vessel, and they were in the Mediterranean. They go on the same vessel. They walk up to the Dome Lounge. The same bartender was there, and my brother-in-law's name is John. And the bartender says to my brother-in-law, he says, "Welcome back, Mr. John. What kind of Manhattan would you like today?" True story. Amazing when you think about it. So again, our service is incredible. Now we do have a butler service in our suites. And again, remember, there's only 10, but I so much love our staff. I just love them. They're awesome. So when we say always included by Atlas, we're pretty much all inclusive to a certain extent. We do have immersive experiences, like I talked a little bit about our gourmet dining with ever-changing menus, and we don't charge for any of our dining in the main restaurant. Bars and lounges, they serve really the best wines you can have and craft beers. And then we do have in-room stock mini bars. L'Occitane is our bath amenity. This is for the cabin itself, but we also have a wonderful spa, and L'Occitane, they handle our spa facilities. Gratuities are also given on board for this staff, and they're already taken care of. Butler service, as I mentioned, in the suites, and this kind of gets lost in the woods a little bit, in the weeds a little bit. But we do actually supply everybody with a trip delay and medical evacuation coverage. Not to get confused though with travel insurance. Okay, but that's a good value in and of itself. So we do have some additional services where we do charge a little bit, possibly, like I said, spa treatments or kayaking when you're in Antarctica, or camping when you're in Antarctica. Again, if you want a reserve wine or spirits, you have that option. But these are things that we actually do have a minimal charge for. Um, I talk a lot about the intimate yachting expedition, creating a connection. I love the fact that, and I'd love to watch our guests just talk. I mean, have these great relationships, and this is truly what it's all about. So now I'm going to talk really quickly about because we're running out of time. But I want to talk about this particular sailing that we're featuring that John and Mike picked out a little while ago. But it's a beautiful cruise. It's from Dublin to Lisbon. It's on the World Voyager, which again was the last vessel I was on. It's from October 1st to October 10th. Just briefly, I'll fly through these, but we basically depart at 6 p.m. Out of Dublin, and then our next stop will be in Waterford, Ireland. While I have this slide here, because I forget things sometimes, but if you notice when we're in La Rochelle, France, we don't leave till roughly almost midnight. And again, when we're in Bilbao, Spain, we leave late also. But so I'll go through the itinerary real quick. Of course, Dublin, everybody's familiar with Dublin. I would highly recommend that you would do maybe a pre-land program, but Dublin is just a fantastic destination. Waterford again, Waterford, Ireland. It's obviously it's an amazing experience. I was there one time. I loved it. It's just a beautiful town, and obviously with the Waterford Crystal and things of that nature. La Rochelle, France, is really kind of very, very cool. It's within the Bay of Biscay, and there's an old harbor. We have some great excursions that you could get when you're on board, but also just to be able to walk around town. It's 17th and 18th century architecture, just incredible experience. Bordeaux, obviously, Bordeaux is it's all about the wine, and I love this picture that we have here, but there's no region in the world closely associated with the vineyards that they have in Bordeaux. So if you love fine wine, this is a great destination also. And then Bilbao, Spain. I was pronouncing it wrong. Kelly corrected me earlier. I thought it was Bilboa, but it's Bilbao, Spain. It's on the northern edge of the Iberian Peninsula.
Bilbao.
Bilbao. Is it Bilbao? I said Bilbo. Okay, whatever. Okay, but it's obviously known with the Guggenheim Museum, just a great destination. Just to be able to stroll through the neighborhoods, again, awesome experience. And then Gijón,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, that's right.
Got that one right. Okay, good. So this would be your last destination before you actually dock in Porto. But again, just very nice, beautiful, quaint little island. Really some beautiful botanical gardens that they have. Just a fantastic destination. And then, like I said, then you'll disembark the vessel the next day in Porto. So I just want to tease you a little bit. I told John I was going to do this, and just looking forward, looking down the road for all of those that are going to go on the 26th sailing, and I know you're going to want to go on a 27th sailing. But this is a beautiful itinerary. It's from Nice to Barcelona. Fantastic itinerary. And this is going to sail from July 19th to July 27th. And again, John, in his wonderful way, has negotiated some really, really great deals. Thank you, John. And then we're also going to have an 11-night cruise from Iceland to Dover. I love this itinerary. I love Iceland, so it's just a beautiful area. And if you have any desire, this is nice. We only have 2 sea days on this particular itinerary. So this will be September 14th to September 25th of 2027. So basically, that's all I have to say. But I will say that and again, I just want to give it up to John again for John's negotiating abilities, his staff, everything about them is. We've been great partners for years and years, and I can honestly tell you, just as Kelly experienced, she just literally just got off 5 days ago, and I've sailed 3, 4 times now with this product, and it's just beautiful vessels, small, intimate. Staff is amazing, everything about it. and I will be quiet so John can close it.
Oh, there you go. No, just remind everybody. I know a couple people mentioned they came in a little late. We're going to do the Q&A now. So any questions you have, just go ahead and drop in the QA. We actually had, I don't know, 5 or 6 questions already. So we're going to get those in a second. I did have one thing I was going to mention when you were just talking about the onboard staff. So I mentioned already that I have my desk next to the tour director and the cruise director. And we've all been on cruises before, and they have the excursions, and they say everybody meet at 9:30 a.m., in the lounge, in the Atlas lounge for your excursion. And I think it was Atlas's first experience with an all military cruise, because I remember I'm sitting at my desk and it's 9:15 and people were coming from the Atlas lounge to say, hey, the excursion's at 9:30. There's nobody there. And what they quickly learned was 10 minutes early is on time for military personnel. And they were very complimentary of the fact that, they're used to groups going and 30 people sign up for an excursion and there's only 28 people there and they're trying to track down the last two. It goes back to the thing I mentioned of the respect and courtesy that MOAA members have for MOAA members. A member's not going to show up 15, 20 minutes late and just assume everybody's going to wait for them. They show up early, not even on time, early. And even the tour director was saying they've never had the excursions go day after day so smoothly because everybody's there and on time. Okay, so we're going to get to the questions real quick. I answered some of these in the thing. Somebody asked about dress code. I kind of talked about it. I don't know if either of you want to address it. My basic answer was they can wear whatever they want. This is their vacation, whatever they want to have fun. They asked for no shorts or jeans in the dining room, but be comfortable. It is, a luxurious yacht. So I think some people worry that it's going to be very dressed up or very yachtish like clothing or something like that. Do either one of you want to add anything to the dress code?
I'll leave it to Kelly.
Just be comfortable. I think I overpacked and I couldn't figure out what to wear. And I very quickly realized that everybody was just comfortable. Some people wore, some women were wearing like cocktail dresses to dinner. Some wore slacks. I didn't see any shorts. Women did wear sandals, but men had closed toe shoes. So, I mean, I think you it's how you would go out to dinner at home, just be comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of it's going to depend on the weather, But
Yep.
I will say, with all the signature groups, one of the other things we do is about 45 days prior to all of us heading over, in this case, to Dublin. I will have a webinar. It'll be me and everyone in the group, and we kind of do a Q&A, and that's where a lot of times people ask questions about clothing, attire, and that kind of thing. One thing I will say that they do is great. In addition to the unlimited premium Wi-Fi, everybody does get that. I mentioned before the $100 per person onboard credit. We did have a question. We might as well talk about that now about what's included. I kind of say basically everything on board. It's almost easier to say what's not included than what is, but we'll get that in a second. But they do have laundry service. There's no self-service laundry, but they have laundry service. And once during the cruise, you have that laundry bag like you're used to having in a hotel. You can cram as much as you can fit into it, and I think it's $39.95. So that's the other great thing. You're on this cruise, you don't have to pack as much. I thought about it when Kelly said the thing about packing. If you just know for $40, and that's for one bag for both of you. So if me and Tim are in a cabin, we have a $200 onboard credit. We can just spend 40 of that and take half as many clothes, so to speak. So to that, somebody asked if gratuities were included, and I said yes. Basically, it's all inclusive. Off the top of my head, I said your drinks, your food, Wi-Fi. We mentioned they have premium Wi-Fi included. They have what else? Should I say? What else am I missing that's not included, or should we just talk about the things that aren't included?
I would say what's not included, quite honestly. I mean, when you look at,
airfare,
obviously our spa facilities, our gift shop. What's that?
I was going to say, airfare, trip insurance,
and
spa, gift shop.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing. Yeah, it's gift shop. Shore excursions are also not included. So,
but again, we do offer like on our cultural expeditions, we'll do some, or even our Epicurean, we'll do some immersive, maybe one trip, one evening that'll be included. But to Kelly's point, we we do charge for shore excursions, but and pretty much everything on board, it's again, like I mentioned early on, if you want, if you want a $200 bottle of 200 bottle of whiskey or
Oh,
something, that's
winery,
not
yeah.
going to be included.
Well,
So,
and I myself am a whiskey drinker, and I had Macallan 12 every night. So, and that was the call whiskey, so I was happy.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yes.
since we mentioned Paul's Pantry a couple of times, important to note that you get your coffee, you get your
Yep.
pastel, you get your sandwiches, whatever. All of that's included. They have a steakhouse on board. You got to have reservations for it. What is it? Seat 14, 16 people, something like
See,
that.
it's 18. It's 18 and it
So
is seasonal. So it
yeah,
is seasonal.
okay, but it'll be
Yep.
open in October.
Well, and that
Yep.
one it'll be open. Yep.
Yeah, that will. Yeah.
It'll be open. Yeah, and when we talk about what I do on board, I'll just say this because everybody on board knows it. We had people who wanted to go when they were at capacity of 16 or 18 people. So we had a number of evenings where there was 20 or 22 people because people would come up to me and say, I want to go to the steakhouse and there's no space available. And I would go talk to the cruise director and they'd, pull in another table and chairs. Just kind of quick thing. Okay.
Well, also, and actually, that's a good point because
Yep.
having you on there, and it's only MOAA vacations on on the yacht. You are able to kind of pull different strings than you would if it was kind of open to everybody.
I
Yeah,
agree.
we had a group of I think 16 people on board, and they wanted to all have dinner together one night, and they have a captain's table which I think seats 12.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. They came to me at first, and we all do this sometimes. They came to me and they said, "Any way we could get 15 chairs at the captain's table?" We talked to them. They said yes, and then the person came to me and said, "We actually have 16. I didn't count myself." So I do that all the time. But anyway, so yes, I mean, those types of things, as I said, I'm there for one reason to make sure you have as much fun as possible. I take pictures. One of the other fun things we do in these signature groups is we do a Flickr, which is a photo sharing kind of thing. So during the entire cruise, I'm taking pictures. All the pictures you saw in that one slide, the group photo and everything, I took all of those. I went around every evening at dinner, taking pictures of people at dinner and all those kind of things. And then I upload all my pictures. Anyone else who takes pictures and wants to share them uploads them. And then we have a website you can go and you can download any of the pictures that you want. So I had pictures of people dressed up for the white party and for the disco party, the group photos, all those other types of things. And then they're all available to you. Just another great thing to have when you go on a trip is this, I wish we would have, and we don't charge for the photos. I hope I don't have to say that. So anyway, okay, somebody asked about wheelchair ADA compatible. I mentioned that collapsible wheelchairs are allowed on board. They can't have motorized scooters. But we always talk about this in Europe. The biggest issue isn't typically the ship. It's when you get off the ship. It's going to be the tour buses. It's going to be so many of the
cobblestone streets.
Sites you visit are not ADA compliant. So there's stairs. They don't have ramps, those types of things. If you have concerns about this, I put this in the thing. It's best to give us a call or drop us an email because every situation is unique. I can tell you that we had somebody who wants to go and they want to bring a scooter, and we got the standard answer, which is scooters are not allowed, but we actually got the schematics for the scooter and it submitted it. And I haven't seen if we got an answer back yet, but can you make an exception if the scooter is this size? So give us a call, drop us an email if that is your concern or you want more information. That's more of a one-on-one conversation because it's easy to quote what the policy is. It's not easy to quote what we might be able to do to kind of tweak that policy. But I always want to make sure people understand that we can only control the ship. When you get off the ship, Europe is not the United States, which obviously we all know. Kelly, do you want to add something to that?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Somebody asked about the ship layout, sent that just for clarification, pricing, cruise gratuities. We got 3 more. When at sea, are you within eyesight of land? We could go back to that itinerary map. It's going to be sometimes yes, sometimes no, correct? I mean, when you sail down the coast of Western Europe, a lot of times you'll be able to see the coast. Then again, you can't say you always will because who knows what the weather is going to be. But there are other times like you can tell when you're going from Dublin, from the island of the United Kingdom across, that you're not going to see land. But Kelly, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I absolutely. I think as long as there are some that you're kind of in the straits of areas, or when you're in the fjords, and there are definitely specific places in Antarctica. You're constantly seeing land because there's glaciers everywhere. But it just depends on where you are and how close you are to land.
Gotcha. John asked, this is a specific question, but I can address it. Said they looked at the 2026 cruise back in February 2025. Initially, the cruise ended in Lisbon. Is a free transfer to accommodate a transfer to London, Lisbon included? That is incorrect. We can get you a transfer from Porto to Lisbon, but it is not included.
Right.
Unless yeah, and I could go, John, I could kind of go through what it was, but what we ended up doing was there was kind of an adjustment in the amenities, so to speak. We have the premium Wi-Fi and stuff like that. There were some people who were booked when we switched from Lisbon to Porto who were given additional onboard credit because of the change. So there is not a transfer from Porto to Lisbon. We do have a post cruise add-on available in Porto that I'm pretty excited about. Okay, specialty dining experience. Is there a drop-off in quality or selection between that and open dining options? I'll talk about this first, and you guys can give your points. The specialty dining is a steakhouse, and it has a very limited menu. What, Kelly, do you want to say something? Oh, she froze. It looked like she had her hand up like she wanted to say something. Oh, Kelly had to leave at 3. She had another meeting, so we're running a little long. So it's just Tim and I now. But the specialty dining is a steakhouse. Everybody can go once during the cruise. They do that only going once, so that way everybody has an opportunity to go. I wouldn't say the food quality is better. I would say that it's a steakhouse. So I don't know what, Tim, you want to say about it.
I would agree with that 100%. I mean, it's it's a steakhouse, and it's a traditional steak and seafood actually, and it sits up on deck 7. It's actually outdoors.
It's outdoors.
As John mentioned, it seats 18. And you're thinking, okay, we've got 180 people on board, and what's going to happen if everybody wants to go? Well, typically that doesn't happen, but it's not like a 3-hour dinner. So it's, you get up and the steaks, and it's wonderful. But I got to tell you, the quality of our food is really incredible. I mean, we have a awesome, typically a European type of buffet in the morning, or you could cook to order, omelets or what have you. It's just no, it's the food is very, very good. And again, I don't see any difference between my main restaurant or the steakhouse.
Yeah, I would say that the main restaurant has both an indoor and outdoor space.
Right.
Those menus are identical. Some people like to sit outside and dine. It's something you might try one evening if you wanted to do it. I want to, I'm doing this from memory, but if I recall that there was a choice of like 1 or 2 appetizers. One I know was bone marrow. I can't remember what the other one was. There's like a couple of steaks you can pick from, and I think like 1 seafood option, and then there's like 1 or 2 desserts to pick from. So it's a very limited menu. It's a neat experience. I mean, most people will do it at some point. I did not have on the Greek Isles cruise anyone saying it was so much better than the normal restaurant. Can I go twice? Kind of deal. So, I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's, part of the reason we did the tasting menu one evening was it was something different. So instead of, and like I said, one evening each side, one evening go to the steakhouse. It's not doing the same thing night after night. I would tell you most people that I talked to, it didn't show up on the what do you call it, the surveys, right? So it was nice of Atlas to share the surveys with us. Basically, everything was rated 9+. There are things color coded, so if it's like red, that means it's 9+. So everything was like that except Wi-Fi. But in speaking to people on board about the event, you kind of got that it was kind of fun, but the food is so good on the normal nights. And the one thing you get if you have a 10-course tasting menu is you have a 10-course tasting menu. And so you don't really have that kind of choice that you have. Their menu in the dining room is what you're used to if you've been on ocean cruises. In fact, I think they do it on most river cruises too, is they have the available every night menu. So, they have like a steak, a salmon, and a chicken. They have some appetizers, they have some salads or whatever it is. You can get every night. And then every night there's a different menu that is available in the dining room. So a lot more choices in there. So I would say do the steakhouse one night and then you can judge for yourself. Yeah.
I want to address the Wi-Fi real quick because we actually had our sales team actually had a webinar last week. It was a sales thing that we had to do. And Kelly, I wish she was on still, but she was actually in Drake's Passage in Antarctica, and it was like she was right next door. It was really incredible. So it's
Starlink, correct?
I think we're stepping it up with our Wi-Fi for sure.
No, it's Starlink, isn't it?
Yeah, Starlink. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be completely honest, a lot of the issue was when you have a limited amount of Wi-Fi,
right,
people are logging in and not logging out, and not realizing that if you have apps running in the background, and I talk to a lot of people about this during the sailing, is I have a lot of notifications. So being in Kansas City, I get notifications for the Royals, I get notifications for the Chiefs. I went to University of Kansas, I get those notifications. I get notifications every time I get an email and those kind of things. So if you log in and you just leave your phone logged in over a couple of days, if you got all these notifications coming in, you'll eventually use that 2 megabytes of data. And then when people ran out halfway through the cruise and found out that to get the premium unlimited Wi-Fi, it was $200, people were like not happy. So when we got off the ship, I basically said, what we need to do is we need to put everybody on premium unlimited Wi-Fi. So if you log in and you forget to log out, you're not going to get to day 5 or day 6 or day 7. And suddenly your phone or your laptop is telling you that you're out of Wi-Fi. You need to buy more. It was a simple fix from our end. We asked for it and Atlas gave it to us. I don't think it was a simple fix from their end, because once again, it's one of those things if they've never done it before for a group. Just give them premium unlimited Wi-Fi, which is one of the great things about working with them is, they want to work with MOAA, we want to work with them. And so then you work out these kind of accommodations. So anyway, we're a couple minutes over. I don't see any additional questions. So once again, we got to download this from Zoom. We got to upload it to to YouTube, and then everyone will get an email. We'll have a link to the website. We will have a link to that one video I talked about, which is just I shot some video of both the disco party and the dressed in white party, just put together a real short video just because you can see how much fun we're having. I was so impressed with the people that dressed up. I would say that the thing that Tim made the joke, the only time I got off the ship was to get the white pants, was when I saw how over the top and how invested so many people were in for the yoga party. I realized that my wearing, like black slacks and a white shirt was not sufficient for the dressed in white party, which is why I got off the ship in Turkey and got myself some white slacks. And I'm glad I did, because when you watch the video, you see it. It's great when people do that. When everybody participates, it just makes it a lot more fun. So hopefully that you guys join us, and hopefully when you join us, you take the time to participate. Of course, you're not required to. As I said, if we're having a disco party, a 70s dance party up in the Dome Lounge, and you don't want to do that, you can be in the Atlas Lounge. You'll have entertainment there, a full bar, those types of things. One last thing before I turn it over to Tim for the last word. Somebody said, what is the single supplement pricing? It starts at $20.25 for that adventure panoramic window cabin. If you go to the website and look at the pricing, the staterooms that have single pricing, which is basically, I think, going to be everything except the suites. The suites don't have a single supplement. It lists what the single supplement is. So you can actually see that. We have in the past, if people want to avoid that single supplement, we do what we call a single share, where we will pair you up with another MOAA member. Obviously, we do the women with the women, the men with the men, and then you share a room, with a stranger, not really a stranger. We provide, whatever you guys want to provide. We can put you in contact with each other so you can talk in advance. I can say that we had several rooms where a couple of women shared a stateroom back on the very first signature group in June of 2020, what was it, 2019, who have continued to travel together since then because, solo travel is not a one-time issue. So if you're interested in that, once again, give us a call and drop us an email. But I hope to see all of you in Dublin for this cruise next year. Tim, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Turn it over to you for the last word.
Well, thanks, John, and I appreciate everybody coming on this call. Truly, it's a really wonderful experience. I'm not going to repeat it, but I'm going to repeat it because it's great staff, beautiful hardware. The yachts are beautiful, very relaxed. Just we'd love to have you join us.
Yeah, it's
Have a great
yacht.
day and happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Okay, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We'll see you at the next one. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.